Hi, I'm Paris, and with extra hours at home, I've been spending more time on the computer, which has meant spending more time with a mouse, especially in the evenings. We've taken to my kids and my brother up in Washington State playing games of StarCraft online together. We're not such a bad team. But all that extra time with the mouse, especially the gaming where you're moving it rapidly and in jerky motions in different positions, that has aggravated an injury that I thought I had gotten rid of about 6 years ago. So if you found with these extra hours at home that you're on the computer more too and you're starting to develop that telltale wrist pain, maybe what I'm doing to help that out will help you as well. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice. Just anecdotally what happened to me 6-7 years ago and how I was able to overcome that and what I'm hoping to do to help the pain I'm getting right in here now. Now, I've never been a heavy-duty gamer. Over the past, I guess it's been about 20 years, my brother and I have played StarCraft and then moved on to StarCraft 2, but that's a real-time strategy game, different from how you use your hand and wrist with the mouse in a first-person shooter. But about 7 years ago, there was a new game that came out called Crossfire, which was a first-person shooter, and because it was brand new, we thought, hey, if we play it on the first day, maybe we won't be worse than all these other people who are just starting out with it. And so we played and played maybe 2-3 hours a day, some days, most days of the week, and everything was fine at first. I actually got to be fairly good at it. My brother was much better. We actually participated in tournaments. But anyhow, with all that playing, I started to develop pain in my wrist when I would put my hand on as soon as I put my hand on the mouse, basically, I could feel the strain in there, the repetitive stress injury, carpal tunnel, something along those lines. And with all the practice for the tournament and all the pressure of the tournament, practiced more and more, it got so it was hurting here even when I wasn't playing. I really did not want to have surgery for carpal tunnel syndrome, which is what I imagined it was, or some repetitive stress injury very similar to that. But I was preparing myself for that because the pain was just getting to be an ache in my arm all the time. I did cut way back on the gaming, but just using the mouse for work every day was enough to keep that injury so that it didn't seem like it had any chance to heal. And looking for alternatives to surgery, I heard about a vertical mouse. Had never heard of that before. Mice are always like this and you put your hand on them like this, but at a university they had done some studies and found that's actually not a very natural position for your hands and arms, that if you put them out in front of you, it's rare that somebody's hands want to do this. Your hands want to do this when they're in a relaxed position. They want to be like this. So they developed a mouse that worked this way, that your hand went around like this. You moved the mouse with your hand in a more natural position, and they found it worked wonders for people with repetitive stress injuries. That's when I found the evolulant mouse. Such a clever idea, I think, because they took a mouse, looks just like a mouse, right? And they just flipped it up. And they put a place for your thumb to rest here. There's a place for your little finger to rest here. And I used this for a year and a half till it stopped working. And then I bought another one. And I found within a few weeks of switching to using this mouse that I didn't have the pain anymore, even when using the computer. But best of all, I didn't have the pain all the time. But even when I would sit down and work for an hour, the pain didn't come back because I didn't have my hand in that stretched position and move the mouse like that. I was sliding the mouse like this, so it really did work for me. This original mouse lasted about a year and a half, and then, I don't know, the wiring, something went bad in it. So I bought another one, and that lasted a year and a half or so. And these were not cheap, $120. They were the only company making this style of mouse at the time. Again, it was a research group at a university that came up with it. So I thought, okay, well, good, they can make their money off of it because they came up with something really clever and something that really helped me. Okay, so now we get into the shelter-in-place days of 2020, and I'm back to gaming, not doing the Crossfire, the first-person shooter, but probably a couple hours a night now of doing the StarCraft, in addition to working on the computer during the day with just plain old simple mouse, and it started to come back, the exact same feeling, so I'm doing the exact same kind of damage in there. So I thought, well, maybe the same solution will work. So I looked up the evolulant mouse, and they're still making it, but still costs about $100. The price really hasn't come down with the I don't know, 5-6 years since the last time I bought one. I would think they could have made it a little cheaper. Well, at this point, other companies are making this design cheaper. Some Chinese companies have started offering it for in the $20 to $40 range. I didn't want to go with the least expensive, didn't want the most expensive, so I got one right in the middle, and that's this guy right here. They claim this is a more evolved, evoluent mouse, and it is different. They've gone with a more curved structure to it. It's not quite as simple as just taking a regular mouse and making it vertical. They've gone beyond that to make this more ergonomic, they claim. And one thing I really like, though it doesn't really matter to functionality, when you have it plugged in, these white bars actually have LED lighting that changes color. It's made by a company called J-Tech Digital, and this is their V628R model. I assume they have a V628L for left-handed, because you're not going to have an easy time using this other than with the hand you purchased it for. This is how my hand sits on it. I've got my button here, my scroll wheel, and then on the thumb side they give you click buttons up and down. I haven't used those yet. And there's also a removable lip portion here, a palm rest that you can use. Makes it easier to slide around, but I use a mouse pad, so I'm okay without that portion as well. So here's the evoluent mouse, and here's the J-Tech vertical mouse. And here's how I would hold the evoluent mouse while using it. This also had the buttons here for the thumb, also which I never used. And with the extra curving of the J-Tech mouse, it's not a matter of having my hand straight on like with the evoluent mouse. It's designed to come right around and be more of a grasp so that it comes on, falls onto the mouse, and that's how it's supposed to work comfortably. It's certainly better than the regular mouse for my wrist. I just started using this yesterday and I can already feel my wrist is not as painful. And here's more of a point of view look at using the 3 different mice. Standard mouse with my wrist moving this way with it. The evoluent mouse and the J-Tech mouse. I find with the J-Tech mouse I'm tending to hold it the same way I would hold the evoluent, like that. That's my natural inclination, and it will work that way, but the way the palm rest is set really seems like this is what their ergonomic designers intended it to do. So you actually have a little bit of a twist to your wrist as you're holding it rather than holding it straight on. The evoluent mouse has several DPI settings. The J-Tech Digital mouse I think has 1 or 2 extra settings, but it's really not that big a difference for me because I only ever use the one right in the middle. So here's a little bit of playing StarCraft with standard Microsoft mouse. When I'm moving my hand, I'm basically putting my wrist on this gel pad. And it's these kind of motions, and as I do them, I can feel right along this side of my arm the discomfort. This is the way I play with this. Moving, I think, more of my hand. Anyhow, when I'm making these motions, I do not feel that pain running up and down the inside of my wrist. On the side of the J-Tech Digital mouse box, they try to show you what's going on muscle and tendon and nerve-wise in the arm, but I can't quite explain it either. Here's the back panel of the box. And if you don't like the multicolor lights, well, there is a switch to turn it off, but they also have a blue light mouse, and they have a wireless version. I've always preferred a wired mouse for gaming. I don't know if I can really detect it, but I swear I can detect the slightest bit of latency with a wireless mouse. Now this is just my second day using the J-Tech Digital mouse, so I know I need to give it some time for the discomfort in my arm to ease up if I'll use this exclusively. If I'm not getting the results though, I have no problem paying the $99 for another evoluent mouse if it will relieve the discomfort in my wrist, but the J-Tech Digital mouse is just $35 and they claim it's even more evolved. You can find out about both of these mice at the links down below this video. If you have questions about either mouse, feel free to ask me in the comments down below this video or on Instagram at parristx, Paris with 2 R's. I'm more likely to get you a response on Instagram, I think, these days because I have that on my phone and it lets me know when someone's contacting me. And if after a month or so the J-Tech Digital mouse has done the job in easing up the discomfort in my arm, I'll probably post about that on my Instagram account as well. The other thing it'll probably take a month or more to see is the accuracy I can develop with this JTech digital mouse. Of course, the optical sensor and that system I'm sure is very accurate, but it's a matter of me learning to move it in just the right way to do well in StarCraft, to get up to the Platinum League in StarCraft, because that's what I'm going to do so long as my wrist stops hurting. And I'll see you on the next review.